gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Everybody gon' vote. Comrade! Labor right, them a go down, bong. Them a go down, bong. Them a go down. Is that? Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. Margie, him a God picking. No hope their work if you touch Margie. We now vote for Labour. Orange we a come out in now. If you love the PNP, who no step out for Marky G. Jamaica just come along with we. People time come, people time come, people time is up.
Only thing that's on my mind is who's gonna run this town tonight.
Yeah, I said that we are pledge of allegiance.
Who's gonna run this town tonight?
Yeah, I said that we
We gonna run this town.
Make the trumpets play. Make the trumpets play.
The PNP put up ads, JLP Municipal Corporation take them down. PNP say left with things. JLP Municipal Corporation say, well, you got latest political cascas coming to you from the front lines of the general election campaign in Jamaica. The St. James Municipal Corporation, which is controlled by the Jamaica Labour Party, has been pulling down advertisements put up by the opposition People's National Party in the Montego Bay area. Boy, old-time Jamaicans said trouble not set like rain, but in this case, I would have to argue that trouble did set like rain because you could just see the political storm brewing here. Not true. Now, the JLP Mayor Richard Vernon has been insisting that the municipal corporation has been pulling down the PNP ads because they didn't get permission from the municipal corporation to put them up. And he's quoting from the 1978 Town and Country Planning Advertisement Control Regulations. Now, when you look at the regulations, for real, they say that no advertisement should be displayed without the consent of the local planning authority. That's the municipal corporation. Except. Scroll down a little more and you see 13.1, which says you don't need consent to put up an ad that is specifically related to a pending parliamentary or local government election. So once a parliamentary or a local government election is pending, it's political carnival. Green and orange galore. Ads from both sides galore. But hold on, remember, what the law says is that you don't need consent to put up the ads if an election is pending. But it doesn't tell us what pending means. Now, judges go to dictionaries, Yeah, they go to dictionaries a lot of the times if they want to look up what they call the natural and ordinary meaning of a word. In other words, what does a dictionary say this word means? So let's look up pending. So Merriam-Webster says pending means while awaiting something. So in this case, pending the general election means while awaiting the general election, except that doesn't take us much further because, for instance, I'm sure the PNP has been awaiting the next general election since being buried by the JLP in the 2020 general election landslide. Just an example. So we still need to know what pending means. Now, clearly, if an election has actually been called, then we can say it's pending. But what about no election or call? But we do know, based on the Constitution, that Parliament will dissolve automatically on September 14, 2025 if no election has been called before that. Now, the PNP's position, therefore, is that they're allowed to put up the ads because we are now in a campaign period, an election campaign period. And that's because we actually do have a definition of what is a campaign period based on the Representation of the People Act 2016. It says a campaign period for an election starts either on the day on which the election date is officially announced by the Prime Minister, and we know that hasn't happened yet. But it also says a campaign period starts 54 months, that's 4.5 years, after a government takes office. In this case, that was mid-September 2020. So the current campaign period started mid-March 2025. Obviously, the reason for this is that whether the Prime Minister calls the election or not, we have to have elections. So the law has an automatic start date for campaigning to begin, even if the Prime Minister hasn't sent off the race. And you can learn more about when the election date is due in my video that you can see here. I'll link it below in the description. I'll also link it at the end of this video. Point here though is that this election campaign period started mid-March 2025. Now the PNP's argument is that that means an election is pending, and therefore according to the law they can now put up political ads without the consent of the municipal corporation. So what is the mayor's argument? Well, he is saying that no election is pending because no election has been officially called by the Prime Minister. I have to say though that I think the PNP's argument is valid here. We are in a legally prescribed election campaign period, and it seems reasonable therefore that an election is pending. Also, there's no other law I've seen that gives us another definition that would say what pending means. I think it has to be more to it than just the calling of the election. Even when you look at the Representation of the People Act, they give two definitions of when you can have the start of an election campaign period. And sure, one is when the Prime Minister officially calls the election, which is what the mayor is contending, but they give another definition, which is 4.5 years after the government has been in office, and that's the one that the PNP is relying on. So the law actually gives two alternatives as to when an election period can start. And by the way, in Kingston and St. Andrew, where I live, both the PNP and the JLP are obviously operating on the basis that we are in a campaign period. Two sides have posters up everywhere. The mayor said he's right, and if the PNP don't like it, they must go court. PNP said up in no who for frighten, and they have in fact gone to court, and this is what they're asking for. So they're applying for leave or permission to apply for judicial review. Just a reminder that judicial review is a two-step process. You have to first apply for leave to apply for judicial review. In other words, you have this first kind of preliminary stage to weed out the full application then. So the three PNP candidates who have taken this matter to court are Andre Horton, Janice Allen, and Alan Bernard. And what they're asking for is leave to apply for judicial review to remove their political advertisements. They're asking for a court order of what is called certiorari, meaning an order that would quash, meaning render null and void, wipe out the decision of the municipal corporation to remove their political ads. They also want judicial review of the motion that had been passed by the municipal corporation in their finance committee meeting, where it prohibited displaying ads for parliamentary candidates. They also want a prohibition order which would stop the municipal corporation and its officers, servants, or agents from removing or interfering with the ads. They also want an order of mandamus. That's an order where the court can make you do something. So they want a court order compelling the municipal corporation, its officers, servants, or agents to return, restore, or reinstate their ads. They're also asking for a declaration that the municipal corporation acted ultra vires, unlawfully, and in breach of procedural fairness in causing their ads to be removed, and also in passing that motion in the finance committee prohibiting the advertisements. And then they're asking for damages as well. It would be an absurdity, they're saying, not to accept that as a period during which you can say an election is pending. They're saying this because they're arguing that political advertisements are a natural part of parliamentary campaigns, and they have to report how much they spend on their election, and therefore they say their expenditure, the amount they spend on the advertisements, would form part of their financial reporting obligations. So they're saying if within that 6-month period they have to report the amount that they're spending on political ads, it would be absurd not to say that this is the same period during which an election is pending. They're also saying the municipal corporation's decision to remove the political ads without prior notice or for consultation, although there are less intrusive alternatives available. They said that is a disproportionate interference with their democratic rights to political expression and participation. They're also saying the municipal corporation acted ultra vires, meaning outside their powers, for a number of reasons, including causing the ads to be removed, not serving a notice of discontinuance, and not serving an enforcement notice. They're saying as well the municipal corporation breached natural justice and procedural fairness for a number of reasons, including not notifying them of the decision to remove the ads, not notifying them in writing, and also not following the regulation which would have given them an opportunity to challenge. They're also saying the municipal corporation acted irrationally and unreasonably because, among other things, the actions of the municipal corporation, they say, are not supported by law or by the other municipalities established under the Municipalities Act. Now
time come, some are got charged for corruption. Oh, yes.
Since becoming operational in 1969, has been closed a total of 3 times, 1985, 2009, and 2019. Portfolio Minister Floyd Green said that his team from the ministry met with a high-level team from GISCO as part of a feasibility study. At that time, Minister Green said the team will again visit the plant in June, after which they will submit to the government their plan for reopening. However, to date, there has been no update. At the Alpart bauxite plant in Nain, St. Elizabeth, the plant's closure since 2019 has left thousands of Jamaicans unemployed.
We're not going to false promise. On the things that we are putting back in the office, on the things that we are novice, on the better listen to this. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them promptly, people, just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, we have to tell them promptly, cause when they win them a go dump way. Market G, you know you the people them really want to see a great leader who will talk to we. Put on the boat and go, they go walk to we. Yes, go march to we, because we have some guy with them on a intention, leading the country in the wrong direction. That's why we come to make we own a selection. This we are gonna do when in call the election. Vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. So we are tell them promptly, people, just vote them out, cause them not see we when we hungry. Vote them out from Kingston to country. Vote them out, cause when they win them a go dump way. We have to tell them